You're welcome back. In other stories, the federal government of Nigeria is targeting a tax to gross domestic product ratio of 15% by 2023, up from 6% presently. That's according to the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. The minister told stakeholders in Lagos at PwC, Nigeria's executive session on the bill and tax strategy. The finance bill would also help government achieve its revenue projections in the proposed 2020 budget. The finance bill has 5 strategic objectives, which include promoting fiscal equity by mitigating instances of regressive taxation, such as tax reforms for the insurance sector, reforming domestic tax laws to align with global best practices, such as taxes of digital business and e-commerce, and introducing tax incentives for investment in infrastructure and capital markets, among others. Nigeria's Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, wants international oil companies to settle unpaid arrears of approximately $62.1 billion to the country. In a statement issued in Abuja by his media aide, Dr. Umar Gwandu, the minister said that with the signing of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act, Cap D3 law of the Federation of Nigeria for Oil Exploration, in deep offshore and inland basin, the federal government will recover more of its share of all revenues. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu is here to discuss these issues. Chika, good morning.
Hi, morning, Lee. How are you?
All right, I'm fine. So let's start with the Attorney General's reaction on the oil companies regarding this area. So $62 billion is a lot of money here. So twice the country's budget. Is this the solution to a weak revenue situation, as it were?
Well, there's some background here.
Yep.
There was a consent judgment that was the Supreme Court of Nigeria gave in, I think, April 2018 on this. And the arrears came to, this amount that the IOCs, the company the PSCs actually supposed to pay. But this news by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice was essentially a pushback.
Okay.
Actually, push back on something, a news that came out yesterday, or the day before yesterday, that the presidency, what happened now was after the judgment, a company called Trobel sent a proposal to the Attorney General to help recover this money for the federal government, on behalf of the federal government, at a commission of 5%.
Okay.
So the news that we hear was that the presidency, was alarmed at the 5% commission, which came to more than $2 billion, almost comparable to the budget of Lagos State government. And so the way it was reported, didn't sound well to the Attorney General.
Indeed.
And that's why this had to come up. The federal government actually said that we don't need any help to collect this money. DPR is there, FRS is there.
True.
Why do we need to pay somebody 5% commission, which goes to about at least $2 billion to collect this? But I mean, if it's done, is major revenue base for the country. If that recovery is done, and I'm sure that the PSCs are going to work with the government and find a middle ground and enable them settle these outstandings.
Interesting development, Chika, but one would wonder, why would you allow the arrears itself to build up to that amount? You've already mentioned the agencies like the DPR and others as well that could aid in the collection. So why did he allow to fester this long? I'm not a lawyer, so I won't be legalistic. What happened?
But I'll give some insight.
Okay.
I think this act was initially done in 2004, and there were a lot of benchmarks set, especially the $20 per barrel oil price.
Indeed.
And if that benchmark is crossed, the terms of the relationship must be, changed, to other level, to different sharing formula. No, but that happened, and nobody went back to go and change it. And so that's the issue. Now, he asked a good question. He speaks on certain things that happen in our government. A lot of times, contracts are negotiated for our government. Look at the P&ID issue.
It's still
they're negotiated on behalf of Nigeria without the interests of Nigeria at heart.
Indeed.
And so the issue now is that when we're broke and looking for money, smart people now start looking at all the laws and start to find out where's the money. And that's how these issues have come up.
Very good. So the implication of such scenarios, the arrears, when they build up like that on the revenue generation and, of course, the economy as well. So what do you make of that?
This is Commonwealth.
Okay.
These are Commonwealth. And indeed, the Attorney General is right to push for the immediate payment of this money. As you said already, this is compared to the kind of budget that we have now. This will turn the fortunes of our country substantially. Yeah. And the oil companies have rode on the back of lack of commitment to follow up
for so long.
For so long, follow up. And indeed, in so many other areas. And so this is one area that they need to quickly resolve with the government and make this payment to help our country, help our reserves and help our currency. And we can imagine the amount of used judiciously, the amount of impact it will have on the welfare of the Nigerians.
And also transparency has to be the key word on this. Now, let's take a look at the new finance bill, which is thought will also help revenues. But some have said Nigeria's problem is due to compliance and additional tax is not needed. So what do you make of that scenario?
No, I mean there are a couple of issues here. One of the parameters they use measuring the tax density in a country is the tax to GDP ratio. Yeah. Now, the output in the economy, remember, is in a year, defined as GDP, is the size of the economy. So for our country, it's about 6%. Okay. 6%. The tax collection in Nigeria over the GDP is about 6%. For the sub-Saharan Africa, where we belong, it's about 19%. For our brothers in Ghana here, it's about 14%. Okay. Kenya is 18%. I think Cameroon is about 16%. So you'll find that establishing that base, our tax collection efforts revenues are very low compared to our GDP. True. And the other thing also is that the major revenue earning for the government should actually be tax. And increasingly, every year, we find that the government does not meet up to 50% of the revenue. Okay. And we have been solely dependent on oil. All right. And the vagaries in the oil prices affect the fortunes of our country. So there's a need to expand our non-oil sector revenues. Hence, the need for tax expansion. Yeah. And there have been so many issues as you raised from that's the debate. Always is it that government should increase taxes or improve tax compliance. Indeed. You have to mix the two because the issues in tax collection in Nigeria include what low tax collection efficiency. We have issues of archaic laws that are not moving in tandem with current realities. Yeah. Of course, you have to have leakages in generation and then low tax compliance rates and a high level of evasion and then other things like poor tax morale. If you can divide these things into two and find out some that the system can take care of, to support what you said, that if you get the system right, plus the leakages, we don't need tax increases. But be that as it may, also there is a need to increase tax. The one that everybody is hearing of now, when the finance bill came out, is a value-added tax, which has been moved from 5% to 7.5%. But that's not all in the tax bill. The tax bill, amends I think about seven laws there that have been touched by the National Assembly that are due for amendment. And the bigger objective are basically to, as I said before, promote fiscal equity, and do things like mitigate all those regressive tax laws that have been limiting, investments in the country have been, be changed. And then there are also, most importantly, to align our domestic tax laws in line with the best practices in the world. Indeed. And that will help, So that's basically that. So it's not just that, we know that there are leakages in the system, but the tax net also needs to be widened. But the VAT has been increased from 5 to 7%, 7.5%. Indeed. If you want me to continue, I will say something else there.
Yeah, go ahead.
The VAT is not, wasn't just absolute that. They recognize the fact that, some essential commodities like food and maybe drugs are zero rated. They're exempt from VAT. So that on those essential things, you don't have to pay VAT on them.
So there's flexibility in that as well.
There are also some good things in the finance bill.
All right.
One of the winners in the finance bill are small businesses. Small businesses are defined as businesses with turnover between 0 and 25 million per annum. They are supposed to be the base of the economy. They're supposed to employ the highest number of people in the economy and drive the growth in the economy. And so the government has gone in this bill, several steps to encourage them. For example, all these companies who qualify as these small companies now will not pay taxes at all, corporate taxes at all.
Wow.
Zero. They don't pay corporate tax at all. So any profit they make now, we just give it pay directly to shareholders, or they invest it in the business. They also cannot register for VAT. So that so you can imagine that plus for them.
Right.
Even minimum, what they call minimum tax, they're not exempt for minimum tax also. So the government has gone out of its way to make sure that
there's room for
these kind of small businesses are helped and addressed.
Indeed, Chika. Now, yes, it's good to have a bill such as this one, but yes, it's still going to be scrutinized every now and then, and even if it gets passed, is it
already passed? It's already passed.
Oh, sorry, it's already. But is it actually fail-proof in terms of the current realities on ground?
No, of course, no lawyers. You see, that's one thing. One thing is
there is the implementation aspect of Nigeria.
Yeah, one thing is the paper.
When it comes to
the paper.
You could have the law, but abiding by it.
The other thing is the implementation of the law, as you and me know. So that's the thing. I've always said that Nigeria has the best documented policies and procedures. But that's nothing. You look at plans, for example. Since we were born, we've been hearing of plans. Vision this, vision that, vision that. Yes. But the issue has always been implementation. And we hope that, you see, I hate to say we are broke. We're looking for money. A country that consistently for the last 5 years, we're willing to be achieving about 50% of our revenue budget is tough for us. So the government is aggressively looking for how to diversify the revenue base and make sure they collect a lot of money to achieve their investment, development objectives for the country.
Sometimes you can't help to think, but you know that the answers are right there at our fingertips. But the will and the commitment to actually make this happen is our major challenge. Chika Mbonu, I'd like to thank you very much for your thoughts on those issues. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.